Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back again. That's a Bet Podcast. You know who it is. It's your boy, Lockett Will, coming to you live from the Tab Studios. But you know how we roll. This isn't a one-man band. I got to introduce the baddest man in the land. They call him Willie J. Some people call him Will Judson. I call him the greatest co-host in podcast land. But you know him as Willie Baby. What's going on, Willie Baby? What's happening, boy?
Nothing much, man. I'm in my third home. You know, we got Houston where I live, Atlanta or the Atlanta area, Fayetteville where I'm from.
Okay.
So I'm back and forth between those two, and then I'm in my third home, San Francisco. Love the Bay Area. I get out here a couple times, at least 3-4 times a year. So here for the weekend, hanging out at my remote studio, and I'm ready to go, man.
Hey, man, you heard it first. He out there in the area, out there in the Bay. Shout out to the Golden Gate Bridge out there, man. You got to send me a photo or something from out there, man.
I got you, man.
Yeah, man. But I'm excited, y'all. You know what time it is when we get on the mics, and we are super hyped to give you guys our NFL picks for this week. And what we're going to do this show, we're going to switch it up for you guys. We've had a lot of requests, and we're actually going to go down the whole NFL slate. So we're going to run through every game in the NFL this weekend, minus the Thursday night game, because we're recording this on a Saturday. But we'll give you all of our picks, what we like about, if we're actually going to bet on the game, if we're passing on the game, or if we're leaning one side. So me and Will give you our full rundown of that. But before we do that, got a little house cleaning stuff to do. Make sure you guys are following us on social media. You can follow me at Lockett2Ts on Instagram and Twitter. We'll let them know where they can follow you at, man.
Group 13 Sports, Instagram and Twitter. Group the number 13 and then Sports, SPORTS, Group 13 Sports.
Yep. So you guys can follow him there, and then make sure you guys are following the show at That's a Bet Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. And guys, I just want to shout out all the fans out there. Will, we had 250 subscribers on YouTube, man.
That thing is growing.
Look, it's growing.
Keep it rolling. Let's keep the wave going, man.
It's rolling, man. He out there in the Bay Area, so let's keep that wave going, like he said. You know what I mean? And we appreciate all you guys, subscribing to the pod and watching us on YouTube. The biggest thing we want to tell you guys, make sure you're dropping, a like or a comment on there. We really want to, hear your feedback. But thank you. We appreciate it. We wouldn't be doing this, if nobody was listening. So, we probably would, because that's just what we do anyway.
We love it.
We love it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, thank you to all you guys, and we definitely appreciate the support. And we'll continue to work hard for you winning this cash, man, because that's what we do it for. We do it for you guys. We do it so you can have another stream of income, on top of your day jobs, so you can crush your bookies. So, with that being said, speaking of crushing, Will, we've been rolling the NFL, man. It's been fun. I know last week, I think you went 2-1, or did you have a bad beat? Yeah, 2-1.
I put in a couple extra bets besides the podcast. So, for the year so far, I'm hitting at 80% on the NFL.
Wow.
Now,
Man.
It's early in the year, so we know that'll probably come down a little bit. But went 2-1 last week. That's a 66% clip. I'll take it all day.
Yep. And then kind of for me, man, I'm sitting at 65.5%. Last week I went 2-1 as well. But the first week of the season, I had a rough couple of bets that I had outside of the podcast. I went 3-0 on the pod picks, but that's the one thing we always talk about, man. We try to stay in our lane. When we go crazy and put all them extra bets in, that's when we start losing our money.
That's when you lose your ass.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's just what happens. So, we're gonna jump right into it. So it's a fun weekend of NFL football, man. And I'm kind of one of those people. We might as well start out with the best quarterback matchup of the weekend. And we got to go to KC. We got Patrick Mahomes taking on Mr. Lamar Jackson, Kansas City and Baltimore. That game right now is set at -5.5. The spread and the total right now is sitting at 51.5. So, Will, Kansas City, Baltimore, man, what's your thoughts on that one, and which way you leaning, or are you betting on it?
Well, first things first, before I jump into this bet, I happen to be reading the newspaper. I'm just going to call them both out because I don't know which one it was. Either it was the Washington Post or it was the Baltimore Sun. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I saw they compared Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson that matchup to the future, and it would be Manning and Brady. I almost choked on the plane when I was drinking my water. But besides that, I love what I'm seeing from Lamar Jackson. I love Patty Mahomes. We know what he brings to the table each week. I think this is probably the most intriguing game of the whole season. For me, I'm not going to really touch the spread. I'm looking at the total for the points.
Okay.
This is a game I'm going to pass. I'd just rather watch it as a fan. But if you make me bet on it, I'm taking under 52.
Yep.
That's what I caught it at, under 52. And the reason why I say this, you look at the game last year, Baltimore and Kansas City. That game went into overtime, but it wasn't high scoring.
Yeah.
It was, and we know what the blueprint was for the Ravens. Run the football, keep it away from Kansas City, and that's how you can beat those guys. We already know Kansas City hadn't been playing defense the last couple years. Andy Reid ought to be ashamed of himself. He's accumulating all of that talent and putting it all on offense. He's hogging all the players and can't do what he needs to do on defense. He brought in Steve Spagnuolo this year, who's the defensive coordinator. He's a known defensive mind. They've played better, but still, the defense is trash, and I think they're going to follow that New England blueprint. New England was actually able to execute it. They kept the ball the whole time last year in that playoff game, and that ultimately led to them beating them in overtime. So I think Baltimore will try to establish that early, keep the ball away, and run the football, and I think the total will go under.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you on as far as I'm gonna pass this game as well. A lot of times my theory with a lot of these betting games is the big games that everybody's kind of focused on, the national media's on the game, they're on the big matchups. I try to stay away from those games just because what happens a lot of times with those games, it's, you have more TV timeouts. You have, it's just the referees are a little bit tight. It's just a lot of other variables that go into these games, even in the NFL, which is rare. But if I had to lean one way, spread wise, I actually would lean Kansas City. I say that because as good as Lamar Jackson has been to start the season, I went back and watched the tape again against the Cardinals. And if the Cardinals make 3 or 4 plays in that game, defensively and then also offensively, they beat the Ravens pretty easily. The Ravens really didn't, the numbers look good for Lamar Jackson, had over 250 passing, over 100 yards rushing, one of the youngest player to ever do that, first player ever to do it in NFL history. But I think a lot of people are getting caught up in still that Miami game where he went crazy and then they came against the Cardinals. The Chiefs are a different animal as far as offense. I feel you on them keeping them off the field. I think Harbaugh will try to do that, but it's something to be said, about Lamar Jackson on the road in a tough environment. He went there last year, played pretty good, but I'm going to pass on it just because I just don't feel comfortable laying any money on it. I'm going to lean the Chiefs because I just can't, to start the season, the Chiefs in the past 3 years with Andy Reid, they've averaged over 40 points a game the first 4 games in the season, and they've covered every spread in the past 3 years, their first 4 games of the season. That's just how Andy Reid starts fast. He always does that.
He prepares very well.
Yeah,
and
what I mean?
The way they do this usually in the NFL, college, we did it too when I used to work in college football. Those guys that work in quality control who sit up there and get all the game plan together, they do it by quarters of the season. So you got 4 quarters in the season, first 4 games, second 4 games, third 4 games, and the fourth 4 games. They get all that film together, and all summer they're working on the game plan for all of those teams. So Andy Reid is the best in the business as far as preparing for games goes. Yep,
I agree with that. And just with that being said, I think, his scheme will come out, and I think the Chiefs will actually at home be able to pull out a 6.5 point. A lot of people call it 6.5. Right now it's at 5.5. I think they win by more than a touchdown in this one. And I do like the under as well. So with that game, we're kind of in the same vein, but I like those. So
I like it. I like it too. I like what you got.
Moving right along to that one, we're gonna go ahead and get the crap game off the slate. Will Dolphins in Dallas? I mean, this would be pretty straightforward. You got anything on this one?
This is a game that I pass. I don't like that spread. I think the spread is like 23.5 for Dallas.
Yep.
They could cover it, and they couldn't cover it. I don't know where the motivation is for Dallas to blow them out of the water unless, Miami just goes out there and lays down. Miami starting Josh Rosen in this game, and so I think that could give them a little boost. I'm not really sold on Josh Rosen yet. So for me, it would be a pass. I like the over total because I think Dallas can, score quite a bit of points on Miami.
Yeah.
Miami, I hadn't really seen anything on defense for them. But probably if you made me bet on this game, the bet that I love, and this is just basic math, you look at the spread. I looked at it earlier. Let me see. I'm going to look at it one more time just to double check it. Yeah. So it's 23 right now, according to the South Point Casino, right?
Yep.
The total is 47.5. If you do basic math, they got Dallas by 23.
Yep.
And the total is 47.5. That brings Miami to around 12 points or so for the team total. So if you make me bet on it and make me love a bet, I'm going to go with Miami over 12 points total for the team.
Yeah.
At minus 110. I mean, think about this. For all the people, especially the sharp bettors, who are probably going to take Miami anyway because 23 is a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do you even get to them covering 23 points if their team total is only 12?
Yeah.
So think about that now. These are pro football players. They haven't played well the last couple weeks. They just got shut out against New England. So I'm going to roll the dice and take the Dolphins over the team total of 12 points.
Got you. Actually, I like leaning that way. If I may jump on that total with you too, because that makes a lot of sense. If you guys really hear how he broke that down, when you start looking at the numbers and you study them as much as we do, a lot of times Vegas will point you towards a bet that has a real high probability of cashing, and Will just broke that down for you there with the spread being where it is with the total. So that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to pass the game as well, Will. That 23, for them to cover 23 points is a lot. I came at a lot of people last week with Miami facing New England. I took the Dolphins, just on a whim on that 19.5. And to be totally frank with you guys, if they don't throw those, 3 pick sixes at the end of the third through the fourth, Miami still covers that game, or they, barely lose that game 21-0, something like that, shutout. So all it takes is a couple stuff, bad throws at the end. But Dallas is rolling. I like Dak. I like Zeke. If I'm leaning one way, I would lean the over on this game. I would lean the over. I wouldn't touch the spread, guys. That's just until Miami shows you what they can do, shows any sign of life. Josh Rosen may be that fix. Coach Flores said, hey, Fitz Tragic showed up first 2 games. Let me go try Josh Rosen, see if he has a little juice in the tank. He has a lot to prove, so he may come out and play hard, and he may galvanize the locker room because they're definitely tanking. But I'm going to stay away from it. I'm leaning the over, and that's kind of my thoughts on that one, Will.
And one more thing, guys. If those numbers I just threw out there is blowing your brain up, I've already looked at it. Dallas's team total right now is sitting at 35. So do the math. That's where I got that from. If they're sitting at 35, okay, well, 12 points is the 47 right there.
Yep.
So that's why I'm saying Miami's team total is right around 12 points. And I think that they can get more than 12 points. So that's where that math came from.
Yep, I agree with that. All right, moving right along, let's jump into the next game on the slate. This will be Tampa Bay taking on the Daniel Jones-led New York Giants. Will, for me on this one, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I really like Tampa Bay in this one, -6 to cover. It's a -6 spread. They're at home. I think a lot of people are jumping on this Daniel Jones train because he was in preseason going against vanilla defenses. Something you guys have to remember. Right now, the defensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Bucks is who, Will? You know who it is? Oh, head coach of the Jets.
Yep. I saw him cussing up a storm last week.
I was just about to talk about that. My God. Dang, I just blanked on him.
Todd Bowles.
Yes, Mr. Bowles.
Todd Milk Dud Head Bowles.
Dog, Todd Sailor cussing Bowles because he was on his little microphone. Look, Will, he was over there on his little mic. He had his little pad up and he moved it. He was he was dog cussing the coach.
That's the one thing I remember about that game.
Hey, he was going in on somebody at that Carolina game, but that defense really turned it up. I know Cam Newton was hurting, but the way they shut down Christian McCaffrey showed me something that Tampa's D is on the verge of kind of turning that corner. Bowles is very aggressive. And one thing I've learned about the NFL, Will, and you've probably seen this over the years, rookie quarterbacks in their first couple starts, what do those DCs do? They go ahead and put them in the oven, and they gonna heat their ass up. They're trying to put their feet in the fire early, see what they got. I think they're gonna heat them up. I do think the Giants are, I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think they're going to rally around Daniel Jones a little bit. But at the end of the day, he doesn't have the weapons. People are going to blame Eli for them being sorry. But, I mean, when your number one receiver, is your tight end, Evan Ingram, or you go to the outside, you got your guy, what's his name? Came from the Broncos. I think it's Hilliard or that's the problem. I can't even remember his name. Golden Tate's out. Sterling Shepard's out.
You're talking about the guy that played receiver for the Broncos?
Giants. Yeah, he came from the Broncos. He was like 2 years ago. He was on the Broncos.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his
tall
name.
Guy. Yeah, but he had a good game. He had a decent game last week.
Benny Fowler.
Yes, there it is. Benny Fowler. I couldn't remember his name. But yeah, that's your leading receiver, your leading playmaker. They're gonna put all 11 in the box against Saquon. They're gonna make Daniel Jones beat him. I think Jameis Winston may be starting to learn how to control, let your running game take over, let your defense win it for you. I see you raising your eyebrows, Will. I know it's 1 week. I know that I may have just jinxed him. He may go out here and throw 4 picks again. But I can say this much. I think he's not going to throw 4 picks because the Bucs are going to run the ball. Last week they ran the ball 35 times against Carolina. So Bruce Arians is like, hey, if he don't have the ball in his hands, he can't turn it over. So I think that's going to be his motto. And for all my people that like to play fantasy and FanDuel, Mike Evans, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys right now, Mike Evans will be the number 1 fantasy wide receiver this week. Mark my words. Everybody's on Godwin. Now the defense is shifting to Godwin. What's wrong with Evans? Remember, guys, he's been sick. He had the flu. It's hard to be out there running at wide receiver. So give me Tampa Bay -6 to cover the spread there. That's one of my best bets of the week. Will, what you think about this game?
This is a pass game for me. Too many unknowns.
Okay.
And when I say unknowns, I mean unknowns on both sides. You got Daniel Jones, and then you got famous Jameis Winston. First of all, if I had to lean away, I would take the Giants. And the reason why I take the Giants, we've talked about this before. I love to bet a team when you've got an unknown. Well, I don't love to bet it when it's an unknown, but when you put somebody else in the lineup, usually you might get a little boost from that team.
Yep.
Daniel Jones, I think the offense and the defense, they're going to play hard because they don't know exactly what they're getting from Daniel Jones yet. They saw what they saw in the preseason, but at least for the first half, they're going to come out and play hard. Yeah. And then if they notice, okay, this dude is sorry, I ain't playing hard no more, then that's a different story. So I think, if anything, I'd probably take the Giants in the first half specifically because I think they're going to come out and play hard. I don't disagree with you. The Buccaneers could very well cover. I'm just not going to put my money on the joker that likes to steal crab legs. I'm not going to put my money on the joker that likes to steal soda from Burger King. I just can't. I can't do it, man. You made a really interesting point not too long ago, saying that Bruce Arians is going to make sure that he keeps the ball out of Jameis Winston's hands so they don't turn it over. You'd be surprised. Jameis Winston is the one joker that will change the play in the huddle and call something that he thought might work and throw a pick. I'm out on him. I like Jameis Winston. I like him, but I can't put my money on him. I just can't trust it. So for me, if anything, this is a pass game for me. But if I had to do anything, I would take the Giants for that simple reason. I can't trust Jameis Winston with my money.
Okay, so you're going to Chris Paul that game. He's going to go ahead and pass that thing. All right. Yeah. Well, look, I'm a Trae Young it, man. I'm going to go ahead and shoot it deep from half court on this one. So moving right along, guys, I want to jump into the next game. This is the injury game, as I call it. The Steelers heading to the 49ers. Actually, right around, right down the street from where Will's at right now. During the area. Hey, you guys never know. Knowing Will, he may pop up in the stand somewhere out there and post a picture. I know him.
You know it.
Yeah, but this is Mason Rudolph. He's filling in for Big Ben. Big Ben hurt his elbow, is out for the season. Can he go out to the Bay Area for the first time, taking on the 49ers and cover the 6.5 point spread? For me, Will, I actually like the 49ers. I was torn for a while. I wanted to take the Steelers because I was kind of buying into the whole Willie J, rallying around the new kid, their backs against the wall. They're 0-2. They have to do, they have to win this game. Mike Tomlin, his history at 0-2, Mike Tomlin hasn't failed to 0-3 in his career at Pittsburgh. Just to let everybody know, he's never been 0-3. But I think that changes. Not only do they lose this game, I think it's actually going to be ugly. I think, 49ers by 10 points. A lot of people are like, oh, but the 49ers were on the road. They were on the East Coast 2 weeks. Now they're coming back home. They're comfortable at home with their wives and families. They're going to relax. But when you have a defense like the 49ers have, everybody's sleeping on them. Their front seven is one of the best front sevens in the league. They're second in the league in sacks right now. DeForest Buckner, you got the guy from Stanford, blanking on his name. There was a second overall.
Sloan Thomas.
Yeah, Sloan Thomas. They actually the 3 linebackers they have now are actually all in the top 10 in tackles. And they're kind of taking on the personality of John Lynch. I don't know if John Lynch is in the meeting rooms with defense, but they're just fast, physical, and they play hard. And nobody is talking about Kyle Shanahan's running game. Will, you remember when he was with the Falcons, what the Falcons did to the league with Tevin Coleman and Devin and your boy Freeman? They tore down the league with that zone offense, with stretches and cutbacks. Matt Breida right now is third in the NFL in rushing, quietly. Nobody's talking about Breida. And they got a backup, Mostert. I mean, he looks like freaking Reggie Bush out there. I mean, he's cutting up cats. I mean, he's doing his thing, and they are shredding people. They're number 2 in the league in rushing right now behind the Vikings, and I think they're going to dominate the line of scrimmage. The front seven for the Steelers just isn't what it used to be. And I think there's going to be – the sky will be falling in Pittsburgh come Monday because they're going to be 0-3. They're going to lose another game by 10 points or more, and Mike Tomlin is going to be on the hot seat. So give me the 49ers minus 6.5 in the Bay to go and cover that game and to win that game pretty handily, man. Will, what you thinking on this one?
And I mixed it up. I said Solomon.
Yeah, Solomon. Yep.
Solomon. That's it.
Who's Sloan Thomas? What is it? Wide out or something?
He was a receiver.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
got you.
Now, what did you catch the line at? Because you got it pretty early, didn't you?
So I actually have another play as well at +1. So as soon as Monday night game ended, they didn't know the status of Big Ben. So the books were actually -1 Pittsburgh and +1 San Francisco. So I went ahead and I put it on the +1, and then literally maybe that morning I woke up 6 a.m. It was at 6.5 for the 49ers because of Big Ben's injury. So, yep, I caught one at that too, but I like the -6.5 too for the 49ers
you like it? Okay.
as well. Yep.
I'm going to have to fade you on this one. I got to fade the 49ers and your pick. And the reason why, it's just something about this overall, this game, particularly Pittsburgh. Something's fishy. Something stinks in Pittsburgh. I don't know exactly what it is, but something's going on. Think about this. We get the news from Pittsburgh. Quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, he's out for the year. I think in my head immediately, you know what comes to my head? Oh, okay. Now we've got a Peyton Manning situation with the Colts. They're going to tank. They're going to lose. And then they bring in his replacement, Andrew Luck, as the heir apparent, right?
Yep. That's
what I'm thinking. 2 days later, I see a ticker across the bottom of the screen. Steelers trade away their first-round pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick. So then what I think about, I know Minkah Fitzpatrick is a good player, but my whole thought process was, what is Pittsburgh doing? They could get possibly Justin Herbert or, I'm not sold on Tua yet, but they could get one of those guys, right?
Yeah.
So then the thought process really starts spinning in my head, and I'm thinking, okay, well, the guys in the building, Kevin Colbert, the GM at Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin, they've got one of the best scouting departments in the league. Do they see something in Mason Rudolph? Do they already feel like possibly they found their replacement for Big Ben Roethlisberger, and they're thinking, you know what?
Maybe.
Worst case scenario, we're going to be 7-9, 8-8, 9-7. It's not going to be a high pick anyway. And Minkah Fitzpatrick, in our eyes, is better than any DB that we can get in the college draft right now. So they go ahead and get Minkah Fitzpatrick. So then I think about that. I'm like, maybe they liked what they saw from Mason Rudolph, and they know exactly what kind of player he is, and they're gonna be okay. Then you think about Mike Tomlin. we know over the years he started to get his message sometimes can get stale, right?
Yep.
He's a guy who always wins the media, the press conference, that type of thing. That can go in and out of some players' ears. When you look at veterans over the years and they do the same thing every year, they win, blah 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 blah. I don't feel like hearing this guy talk today. But
Yeah.
now they're in a situation where they're 0-2. They got a new quarterback, new running back, or new leaders across the board. You got James Conner, you got Juju Smith-Schuster, you got a bunch of unknowns on defense. You got Minkah Fitzpatrick coming in. Their backs are against the wall, and they're playing up against a fraudulent San Francisco 49ers team. I think this is the game where that Tomlin message actually soaks within them, and they go out there and they cover within 6.5. I'm not going to say they're going to win the game, but I just feel like that's just a lot of points. And when I think about who the Cincinnati Bengals have played, they just got done playing that redheaded stepchild, Andy Dalton. I mean, Andy Dalton is a decent early season quarterback, but towards the end of the year, he starts to stink it up. Not sold on the Bengals at all. And then who they play in the first game? They played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
I just talked about Jameis Winston. He threw 2 pick sixes. This is the first time in history that I've seen where the 2 pick sixes he threw outscored his team on offense as far as points were concerned. And so when stuff like that happens, I'm just like, okay, something's, I can't trust that until they play a good team. I don't think the Steelers are good, but I think the 49ers are getting a little bit too much juice. And I think, to what you said, I think they are, the 49ers are feeling themselves a little bit. So I think they'll win the game, but I think it'll be less than 6.5. That's just the way I feel about it. But my main thing is, you said it earlier, I love betting guys that are starting for the first time. The teams come out and play well. They might regress, but they don't come out and give you that initial punch. So I'll take Pittsburgh. This is my best bet of the week, 6.5, plus 6.5.
Ooh, best bet by Will J. Yeah. Okay. I see you there. I mean, I one of us is going to be wrong, but both of us could be right if it ties or something. Who knows? And you'll still be right. But yeah, man. So also too, I forgot to mention the over under for that game was actually, what is it at now? It's at 44. And I mean, if I had to lean over under on that one, I would lean the under, just simply because I think, Mason Rudolph and those guys, I think he'll struggle a little bit. And 49ers, coming home, they may take a step back. But rolling right along to the next game, we're going to stay out there on the West Coast with you. The Saints, the Drew Breesless Saints, taking on Russell Wilson in Seattle, at CenturyLink Field in Seattle. We know what type of noise they have there, the raucous crowds. Will, which way are you leaning, and what's your picks on this one, if any?
I'm passing on this one, but if anything, I like Seattle minus 4.5.
Okay.
I'm not a Teddy Bridgewater lover. He gets a lot. He's like the darling of the media. I don't know if it has something to do with him falling in the draft when he got drafted 32nd overall when he thought he should have been a top 15 pick, because he's an overall nice guy. I don't know if it's because he messed his knee up and the public just loves him. But I haven't seen what everybody else sees in Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's an average at best quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't think he's any better than Josh McCown. I honestly don't.
Whoa.
And going out into Seattle in that hostile environment, those weather conditions, the Pacific Northwest can be hard on you as far as the weather is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Ziggy Ansah is playing this week. They got him from the Detroit Lions, and now you're bookending him with Jadeveon Clowney on the other side.
Yep.
I think that can be problems for the Saints with that crowd noise. I'm not sold on Taysom Hill. I
the Swiss Army knife.
Right. I got extremely upset with Sean Payton a couple weeks ago, and I started to call a bomb threat into the Saints facility for even saying this. He said he compared Taysom Hill to Steve Young. Listen, just because they both went to BYU and can run, that does not mean that he's Steve Young, man.
Oh my gosh.
So, I don't know. He's already come out and say that he's going to try to use a 2-quarterback system a bit. Maybe that's just a strategy tactic.
This ain't college.
Right. Maybe the Seahawks, he wants the Seahawks to prepare for both of them. But I'm not sold on either one of them, and I've always gone off the old school saying, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one.
Yep.
So I'm gonna roll with Seattle -4.5 in Seattle.
Okay. I'm definitely betting this game. I know you're passing this one, but I definitely love Seattle to cover that -4.5. I think this game is a 7-point game, win pretty easily for Seattle, just simply because the Saints defense is getting back to the old Saints defense from 2 years ago, where everybody's stacked. If you're playing fantasy football, you're putting all guys in that are facing the Saints in their secondary. I really don't like calling out players singly, man, but P.J. Williams, the slot corner for the Saints,
number 26.
Number 26. You got about one more week of getting shredded like you've been getting shredded, and either ESPN gonna put you on blast and they gonna cut you, or they just gonna release you, because any slot receiver against P.J. Williams is 8. He's given up 100-yard games all 3 games this year. And the Saints passing game right now, they're giving up the most yards to wide receivers. So DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, even Will Dissly at tight end. I think those guys are going to have a field day. And a stat that I kind of looked at, Teddy Bridgewater, like you said, Will, Mr. Nice Guy, he's 8-9 in his career on the road. He's a losing quarterback on the road in his career. Russell Wilson is 45-12 at home in his career. We know what he does at CenturyLink. I mean, he's a different quarterback at home in Seattle with that crowd. It's just something like feeding off of it. The Saints, they stayed on the West Coast. They stayed out there after their game against the Rams. They did their team bonding trip. Everybody's going to try to rally around Bridgewater and Hill. But I think at the end of the day, man, football is a simple game. It's tackling, it's blocking, and it's throwing and catching. I mean, it's
limiting mistakes.
Yep, and not turn the ball over. It's not, it doesn't get any more simple than that. And I think the team that will do better at that Sunday is going to be the Seattle Seahawks. And Will kind of took my thunder a little bit when he talked about Ansah and Clowney. People aren't going to talk about this, but the Saints' O-line this year has been a little banged up. They lost some guys in free agency. They do still have the stellar left tackle in Armstrong, but I think Seattle's defensive line is going to create havoc, and they're going to heat up Teddy Bridgewater a little bit. I think he throws a couple picks. So I really love Seattle in this one, -4.5. I just think it's a home field game, man. And I also would lean to taking Seattle money line as well. If you don't feel confident with that 4 is a weird, 4.5 is a weird number to beat them by 5 or more. You can take that money line, because right now the money line is only at 215. That's not that big of a money line. I feel like that's something you could take a risk on, and they just win the game outright too. So those are my favorite bets there. And the over-unders, I really don't want to touch those, just simply because I don't know where we're going to get out of Sean Payton. I feel like it's going to be a gadget game from Sean Payton, especially say he's going to get Hill involved. He does a lot of those speed, the speed sweeps, fake it, throw it, all that type of stuff. So that's kind of how I feel about that game. All right, we're rolling right along. Denver, Green Bay. This one opened up at -8. It went up to -8.5. Currently, it sits at -7, and the over/under is 43.5. Will, what you got for this one? You got any picks on it, or are you passing it?
This is a pass for me. I don't know what I've got in Green Bay, and I know what I got in Denver, and it's no good.
Yep.
I don't like Denver on offense. Defense is strong. Defense is what keeps them in the games. Green Bay, man, they've been a little hard to read this year. They didn't in the first game against that good Bears defense. They didn't score a lot of points, but they were able to win.
Yeah.
And then last week they jumped out in front of Minnesota 21-0, and then didn't do anything else the rest of the game for 3 quarters. So,
yep.
Not really sure how to really read this game. The total's at 43. I think there's a possibility that this game could go under,
Gotcha.
just because of the two defenses. Green Bay is playing very well on defense as well, and they're going up against Joe Flacco in Green Bay. So if I had to bet anything, it would be the under 43 total. But
okay.
This is definitely a pass for me.
Got you. I'm in the same boat, guys. I'm passing on this one. I don't trust Denver, and like I said, Green Bay's been too inconsistent. Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers are still trying to mesh a little bit. We saw that they had a they had a little argument on the sideline. Matt LaFleur made Aaron Rodgers wear a wristband. Like, come on, y'all. I feel like that's like a disrespect to a Super Bowl winning quarterback. regardless of, get them ready for the week, then coach, if you don't want to wear a wristband. But if I had to lean one way, I would lean to the Packers. I just think Denver is not, I think Denver's in a spot where they're probably only win 4 games this year. So give me the pass for this one, Will, but I would lean the Packers on this one at the -7 because they're at home. Denver coming across country. So moving right along to the next game. Our Dirty Birds, the Falcons, will be traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Will, I'll jump right into this one for me. I think it's kind of disrespectful Vegas-wise that they set this line where it was at. It's at -1 right now, +1 for the Falcons. And I say that because I think Vegas has been reading in the clippings about how great the O-line is for the Colts. And they didn't look at the injury report before they put this line out. Marlon Mack has a calf injury. He probably won't play. T.Y. Hilton has a quad injury. He's going to try to give it a go, but he's hurting. Jacoby Brissett is still their quarterback. I like Jacoby Brissett. I don't love Jacoby Brissett. He still has to prove to me that what he can do. The Falcons last week against the Eagles offensive line, who, according to Pro Football Focus, is the best online in the NFL. Now they're going against the second best, according to Pro Football Focus, in the Colts. But the Falcons got 10 hits on Wentz last week. They got 4 sacks. Takk McKinley, Beasley, Claiborne, Grady Jarrett. If they play half of how they played against the Eagles, I think they'll dominate this game because I think the Colts are going to be one-dimensional without Mack there. They're going to have to lean on Hines as their lead back. One of my best bets of this week, and, a lot of people say this is a homer pick, but I'm literally just going off the numbers, and if the Falcons show up, I think this game won't even be close. I like the Falcons +1 here, and I also like the under 47. I think the Colts are going to struggle on offense. They're the leading rushing attempt team in the NFL, 77 times, in these first 2 weeks of the season. They're not going to have Mack, or if he does give it a go, he's not going to be fully 100%. If they can't run the ball and their line is a mauling type of O-line, they're not really a pass-blocking O-line. A lot of people don't realize that, led by Quentin Nelson, the all-world guard out of Notre Dame. But I think Atlanta comes into this game with a different mindset. Minnesota woke them up as far as physicality. I think if they match the physicality from the Colts line, I think this game will be an easy cover and an easy win for the Falcons. So I'm actually taking +1 for the Falcons, and I'm actually taking the +100 on the money line for the Falcons. I'm going to go back to that, Will. So, Will, what you think about this game, man? You got any bets for it?
Great pick. I'm on that with you. I'm not going to really repeat any of the stuff you said. I'll just throw out a couple things for our listeners. If I had to bet on this, I'm gonna pass on it. But if I had to bet on it, I would take the Falcons +1, and I would definitely take the under 47. Mm-hmm. Just a rule of thumb for all of our listeners: Vegas gives the home team 3 points. They're saying that home field advantage is worth 3 points. So if you look at that, what they're saying, what this line is essentially telling everybody, Vegas thinks the Falcons are better than the Colts.
Yep.
But not good enough to set it at a minus line for the Falcons like you were talking about. Mm-hmm. Think about this. If this was a neutral game, let's say they were playing in the Super Bowl, then that means that the Falcons would be a -4 favorite. Yeah. Because if they're evenly matched teams and they're getting 3 points and the Colts are at -1, that means that they're saying the Falcons are a better team than them. So yep. I think it's a great bet if you do it on the money line, Falcons. I think the Falcons will win this game. Don't get me wrong. I don't like what I've seen from the Falcons the first 2 weeks. They got blew out by Minnesota. They played better last week against the Eagles, but they should have blown the Eagles out. With all those injuries that the Eagles had, the Falcons had to eke that win out. Yeah. I think this is a simple product of Dan Quinn not playing his players in the preseason, so they're just working their kinks out, and I think that continues this week. Jacoby Brissett has been a backup his whole career for a reason. You said it. Just like you said it earlier, he's still Jacoby Brissett. So I think the Falcons will play better. They're playing indoors. The Falcons love to throw the ball all over the place and play indoors. And so I'll take the Falcons on the money line, the +1, and the under 47.
Gotcha. Yep. On the same vein on that one. Next matchup, Cincinnati will be traveling to the 2-0 Buffalo Bills. Wow. The King of New York, as they call them. Currently, the line sits at -6 for Buffalo, and the over-under is at actually now it is at, let's see, did it move? Yeah, -6 Buffalo, and the over/under is 44. So, Will, you got anything for this one? You passing it?
Passing on this one, but I like Buffalo in this situation. 6 points is a lot to cover in the NFL, especially when you're the Buffalo Bills. You haven't shown anything over the years, but I like Josh Allen. I love the defense. He doesn't get a lot of credit, but the Bills head coach, Doug McDermott, he's done a great job, especially on defense. And I think that crowd will be ready to go. They're some of the best fans in the league, and when that team is winning and it's early in the season, out there in Orchard Park, New York, it gets no better. So I think they'll play well against Andy Dalton and the Bengals, and they'll beat them by more than a touchdown.
Gotcha. This is a pass for me, but I'm lean Cincinnati +6. I think after you get your ass kicked the way they did against the 49ers, it's just something about an NFL team, coming back and just trying to bounce back. So I think I would lean at +6, and but it's a pass for me on that one. Jets, New England. Let's just get straight to this one. 2-0 Jets, 2-0 Patriots, 0-2 Jets. Spreads currently sits at -21.5 for the Patriots, 43.5 for the over/under. For me, this is a pass, Will, just simply because I just can't touch a spread over 21. That's just not my MO. I know the Jets are rolling out Luke Falk, but I think a lot of the distractions from Antonio Brown this week, I think that the Patriots will easily beat them. They may cover it, but I just don't touch those type of big spreads. If I had to take an over/under, though, I think I would go with the under, just simply because the Patriots have the best defense in the NFL. We saw what the Jets can do on offense against the Browns defense that, is good, but they're not great. Belichick will take away Bell. That's what he does. He takes away your best player and makes the other guys beat you. So I'm going to pass on that one. What you think about that one, Will?
I didn't actually include it for my 3 bets on the podcast, but when I went back and looked at this again, if I had to do it again, I'd say this is my maybe first or second best bet of the year as well.
Oh, wow.
I love the Jets +21.5 against New England. Now you're probably thinking the Jets suck. Well, think about this. They played the Browns pretty tough last week, and they were playing hard on offense and defense. Luke Falk, he came in there. He actually looked better than the guy that got hurt. What's his name? Simeon.
Oh, yeah, Simeon. Yep, Trevor Simeon.
So, yeah, Trevor Simeon looked a little scared out there, and then when Falk came in, he just, was dumping it to Le'Veon, making throws here and there. Loved the way Le'Veon was playing. He was playing hard, like he was trying to carry the team on his back. You look at New England, just going to throw out some quick stats with New England. Going back 30 years, there's been 5 favorites, home or away, that was over 3 touchdowns. New England was the example in 3 out of those 5 games. And then when you think a little bit further, 20 points or above.
Yeah.
Right? New England was in that spot 4 points, and they're 0-4.
Wow.
As far as covering against the spread. So it's not a lot of stats to play with. It's only 4 games or whatever you want to say. It's only 4 games total for New England, but they're 0-4 against it. I'm going to play that number. And then also, New England has 3 offensive linemen that are – 2 of them are completely out due to injury. 1 is like a game-time decision. So they got 3 guys that are affected by injuries. And I think the Jets have a pretty strong defensive line. Maybe Quentin Williams will play this week.
Yeah.
Who knows? But they still got Leonard what's his name from
Leonard Williams?
Yep. Yeah, Leonard Williams from USC. They got some guys that fly around the football. You got Jamal Adams back there. I think with New England being banged up, especially on the offensive line, this is a game where Belichick, of course, he despises the Jets. He doesn't like the Jets. But I think this is a game where he just tries to get a win, get his guys out of there, and stay healthy and, get away with all the distractions. They know that they can win this game. And so I don't expect the total to go over. So I think that's a good bet by you.
Yeah.
But I love the Jets plus the 21.5.
Gotcha. I like both of those, man. Next game on the slate, Detroit Lions will be traveling to Philadelphia, who is very banged up, to take them on in Philly. Right now, the spread currently sits at -5.5. It opened at 7.5, which is kind of interesting there. It's been a lot of line movement. Sounds like a lot of people are in Detroit. And the over/under is 45.5. Will, what you got anything for those?
I'm passing this one. I'm gonna keep it simple though. You said it earlier. The Eagles are way too banged up, and I don't like what I've seen from Carson Wentz trying to extend plays, getting hit. If he gonna mess around and get hurt again if he doesn't start making smarter decisions.
Oh yeah.
You get rid of the ball. Don't try to extend plays. Slide. Don't be diving head first. So I like the Lions plus 5.5. The Lions haven't lost a football game. We know it's the Detroit Lions. They tied with the Cardinals. They were dominating that game for the first 3.5 quarters and then kind of let up. And it ended up being a tie. Last week, the Lions, the Chargers, we don't know exactly what they are right now, but they still have some athletes. They all have athletes. They have some good players still in LA, and they beat the Chargers. So I'm going to take the plus 5.5 with Detroit. But like I said, this is a game where I pass.
Okay. Yep. I'm in the same vein. I actually am going to bet it. The Detroit Lions plus 5.5. I love that bet. I think Stafford and Matt Patricia. I just have to say this, y'all. Everybody's kind of hating on Matt Patricia. But one thing I've noticed in Detroit, they are very, very prepared every week. Even the last year when when he's first there and kind of getting his feet up under him, they were in a lot of games. They're always going to be in the game. I see Matt Patricia's learn from Belichick. They don't miss a lot of tackles. They don't have a lot of penalties. They don't shoot themselves in the foot. And that's kind of the recipe for the Patriots wins in their style. So I think Patricia has controlled Matt Stafford, throwing those interceptions, Babytron, as they call him. Kenny Golladay, has really stepped up and he's doing his thing. And that tight end for Hawkinson for Detroit is looking very Gronkish. I think Patricia's feeding them. And it's one thing to say about a team being injured. You have some injuries here or there, but Philly is really, really hurt at key positions. Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey, their backup tight end is going to be out the game. Jason Peters is injured right now. We don't know if he's going to be able to go. They have a lot of guys banged up. They're going to be leaning on guys they normally don't lean on. And they had to cut practice this week. When you're doing that in the NFL and you're going against guys at that elite level, preparation is everything. And I think that's been kind of off for the Eagles. So I really like that plus 5.5 for this game. I'm not touching the over under just simply because the Eagles are the Eagles and they can put up a lot of points, and I don't know if Patricia's going to try to come out and, control the ball, slow the game down with Kerryon Johnson. Right. But plus 5.5 for me, Detroit is what I'm going to bet. This is one of my best bets of the week. Give me Detroit plus 5.5.
All right.
Oakland, Minnesota, Will. This is probably one of the most lopsided bets outside of the Miami, Dallas, New England Jets game. Currently, the line sits at -9. Minnesota favored at home. Oakland's traveling across country. Over-under is 43.5. This is a pass for me, Will. Pretty straightforward. I do think leaning one side, I would take the under on this game, 43.5. I just don't think the Raiders have what it takes to put up enough points to cover that over-under. And Jacobs is sick. The young running back has been sick this week for the Raiders. He actually missed 2 days of practice. Tyrell Williams has a hip pointer, so he's missed 2 days of practice. That's their number one receiver. Going across country, that's a lot. And you're traveling to the Vikings, who at home in the past 3 years under Mike Zimmer at home, they've only lost 4 games at home under Mike Zimmer. Since he's been in the regime, in that new stadium at US Bank Stadium. So they're going to be tough at home. So I'm passing it, but if I had to lean one side, I would take the under 43.5. Will, you got anything for this one?
You made some good points there. That's probably what I would take too, the under 43. And based off hearing what you said, I would probably take if I had to pick, I'd take -9 with Minnesota and Mike Zimmer.
You would lay that number? You would lay that? You would lay that 9?
Yeah, I would lay it based off what the stuff you just gave me. I don't trust Oakland or Minnesota. I don't trust Kirk Cousins. So by all means, this is one of my best bets. But if I had to pick, I would take the -9 with Minnesota because of the things that's going on with Oakland right now. Okay. They lost Jamal Abrams a couple weeks for the year, I believe, as well.
Yep, so, that shoulder, man. Yeah.
That's exactly what he gets for how reckless he plays.
Man, don't he? He be out there just throwing his body around like it's the 70s or something, man. These jokers are big.
I'm predicting it now. The Joker will have CET within 3 years.
If he keeps throwing around his body like that, you damn right.
Yeah, so this isn't a game that I like, but if I had to look at anything, it'd be Minnesota -9 and the under 43.5.
Okay. All right. Now, look, for me, Will, this is probably my funnest matchup of the late game slate. Arizona will be hosting the Cam Newton-less Carolina Panthers. And just a quick nugget, and I kind of saw this morning. I didn't even realize it. Carolina's starting quarterback this weekend will be Kyle Allen. The Cardinals starting quarterback will be Kyler Murray. Ask me what school they were at together in college. Do you know, Will?
Texas A&M.
Yes, sir. Kyle Allen was actually the starter for a little bit for Texas A&M when Kyler Murray was backing him up. So it's crazy. It's two former, they was in the same quarterback rooms in college. Now they're facing each other in the NFL. The line sits at -2. Arizona's favored. Carolina and is the dog in this one, especially without Cam Newton. The over-under is 45. Will, you got anything for this one? You going to place any bets?
My best bet, or another one of my bets for this week, Arizona Cardinals -2. I think they're showing us some things these first couple weeks. They'll start out slow, but they hit you back. And seems like with each week they're getting more and more comfortable within the offense. Kyler Murray in particular, I like them playing at home in Arizona. Carolina's got to travel all the way across country with Kyle Allen. We've seen him play before. Not a bad quarterback, but I think Carolina's reeling right now. So I'm jumping in on Arizona -2.
Got you. I'm actually going to pass on this game. It's a tough pass for me simply because I really, really, really want to take the over 45 on this one, just simply because Carolina's defense gives up the most big plays in the NFL right now through first 3 weeks, plays over 50 yards, or whether it's runs or passes. Their secondary isn't that good. Their D-line right now, they have like one of the highest paid D-lines in the NFL, and they're just not showing up. I think McCoy is just collecting the check. K'Wan Short hasn't done anything in about a year. Only guy on their line that's actually done anything is the rookie out of Florida State. They call him Spider-Man. He's been okay, but if I had to lean, I would lean the over heavy. I really want to take it. I may take it if it drops for me a little bit, 44 range. I might take it. And I do like the -2 Arizona. I think it's going to be a shootout though. I think this is going to be one of those old school, behind the schoolyard, back and forth type of games. But I would lean the Arizona Carolina over 45 for this game, but I'm gonna pass on it. I just kind of want to watch this one because I think it's gonna be a fun one to watch on the late slate on Red Zone for me. So, let me see where we got. Yep, next one here we got Houston. They will be traveling to the Chargers, LA. This game currently sits at -3 Chargers and over under 49. I'm gonna get straight to it here, Will. I think Houston's going to beat the brakes off of the Chargers this weekend. This is probably my dog pick of the week and my best bet of the entire NFL weekend. I'm taking Houston plus 155, and I'm taking Houston +3 to cover the spread. Houston, to me, is just a better football team right now than LA, just simply because LA is decimated with injuries. They just lost their backup safety that was, replacing Derwin James. Mike Williams' knee is hurting. They have no Melvin Gordon. Keenan Allen's been banged up. Lost Hunter Henry for the year. They're down 2 linemen. But it's crazy, though, because when you hear that, that's when Phillip Rivers, thrives. All right, everybody get on my back and let's eat. But I don't know. Deshaun Watson and Nuke Hopkins is just a different animal. Now, I will say this. Mr. Hayward will be out there on that island with Nuke. Going one-on-one, but Nuke Hopkins has dominated any corners under 5'10" in his career. He's averaged 98 yards a game and 1 touchdown. Now, and then you think about it, he's guys that are bigger. So like Jalen Ramsey's of the world, he struggles with a little bit of bigger, because getting off the line is kind of his thing. So I think Watson-Hopkins combination and that passing offense, I think their O-line is better. We'll travel out to L.A., cover this pretty handily. I think they win the game outright. So I really like Houston -3 and Houston plus 155. Best bet of the week. Take it to the bank. Will, what you got on this game?
You got a Houston +3, right?
Houston +3, yes. Okay. Yeah, the game is -3. Favorite.
Yeah, I love that bet. That's what I'm on as well. Houston +3. The Chargers are banged up on offense and defense.
Yep.
I think this is a game where Houston bounces back offensively. It'll be perfect weather in LA for them to throw it all over the place. And the only thing that concerns me is Deshaun Watson and how much he gets sacked.
Yeah.
They got to do a better job of protecting him this week. But I'm all over it as well. I'll be betting Houston +3.
Oh, there we go. Look, we both on this one, man. That's a good sign. So, all right, next game, and let's see, we got 2 left here. The Sunday night game, the LA Rams traveling to Cleveland. This one should be fun. You know, all the hype, got big names: Gurley, Beckham, Mayfield, Goff. You know, we got Aaron Donald, we got Myles Garrett. Currently the game sits at LA is the favorite in this game, -3.5, and the over-under is sitting at 47. It's been a lot of action on the under, and they've actually dropped from 51, Will, which is where it opened at, which is like, okay, what do you guys see that we don't? For me, as much as I love this Hollywood type of matchup, I'm passing on it. If I had to lean one side, I would lean Cleveland +3.5 at home. I think they getting their butt whooped that opening game of the season, I think, has kind of woke them up a little bit to where they're competing better. And if I had to take the over-under, I would take the over 47 now that it's at the 47 if I had to lean. But that's kind of where I'm at. But I'm going to pass on this game. Just enjoy it Sunday night. So, Will, what you got for this one?
Interesting matchup. This is another one of my bets that I like this weekend. I'm going to take the Browns +3.5. When I'm thinking about this game, think about the travel factor. LA is going back to the East Coast. Well, not necessarily East Coast, but they're going east to Cleveland. This is a primetime game. I cannot remember the last time there's been a Sunday night football game in Cleveland. So
Maybe
that dog
never.
pound is going to be right. You've seen them every now and then on Monday night or Thursday night, but you've never seen them on Sunday night. So I think the dog pound is going to be on fire this weekend. And also I think, or I believe that the last couple weeks, Cleveland has not played well. They didn't play well last week against the Jets. They're still trying to clean some mistakes up. Most penalized team in the league. But this is, I don't necessarily trust Cleveland.
Yeah.
But I like the energy they're going to play with this weekend. I'm basing this off of the Rams. Check this out for Jared Goff. Last season at home, he was 22 touchdowns and 3 picks. On the road, he was 10 touchdowns and 9 picks.
Wow.
And a 30-point decrease in quarterback rating. And, for me, Goff doesn't play well on the road, particularly once it gets cold outside. It's not going to be cold tomorrow night in Cleveland, but you think about this year, Goff hadn't played well. They played the Carolina Panthers in week 1.
Yeah.
They barely beat the Carolina Panthers. Excuse me. They didn't beat the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers beat the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Right? Cam Newton beat the Carolina Panthers in week 1. Then week 2, Breeze didn't play after the first quarter, and they didn't blow the Saints out. So they haven't played well this year. And so I think with that being said, I think the stars will rise to the occasion on both sides of the football, but I expect Cleveland to cover the 3.5.
Okay. Yep. We kind of in the same vein there. Now, the last game of the NFL weekend and week is the Chicago Bears traveling to Washington. This is currently sitting at -4. Chicago is the favorite, and the over-under is 41. Well, I want to pass this game. I want to pass it so bad. But Washington is just so horrible, bro. They are not good. It's like the coaching staff is conflicting with the players. They don't know if they want to run Adrian Peterson or not. Should they keep Keenum in? Should they play Haskins? If this is any game where Mitchell Trubisky comes out and looks like freaking Fran Tarkenton, it's going to be this game against Washington. Their secondary is beat up. Rogers Cromartie might not play for Washington. Josh Norman's getting all the flack because they think he's supposed to cover all 4 receivers at once. He can't do that. But I love the Bears here, -4. I think the Bears win this by 2 touchdowns. I think it's going to not even be close. I think that defense literally is going to hand Trubisky this win and make him look good. A lot of turnovers in this one. So give me the Bears -4. And I think this is the game where not only Gruden loses his job, but I think this is the game where you will see number 7 from now on after this week. Dwayne Haskins will be the starting quarterback for the Redskins after this showing on Monday night. Because one thing I could tell you, the owner of the Redskins is not going to take, Will. He's not going to take getting his ass whooped on Monday night where everybody in the whole nation is watching his team getting destroyed and looking bad. That's just what he's not going to do. So Bears -4, I love that. One of my best bets of the week. So give me the Bears, man. What you like for this one, Will?
I don't like this game. This is a pass for me, but if I had to bet, I'd take the Bears because I trust the lesser of two evils a little bit more. I don't trust Mitchell Trubisky at all. I love the Bears defense, so I think they can shut Washington down. But it's just too many unknowns. I don't like Case Keenum. I don't like Mitchell Trubisky, so I can't put my money on them. But I do like that bet, the Bears -4. I love the way they play defense, and if anything, if Mitchell Trubisky goes out there and only scores 6 points for them, then they're only going to give up 5. Now, that'd be hard to do, to give up 5, but they'll find a way to do it.
Yeah, you're right. So, you're right about that.
I like the Bears -4 if I had to do anything.
Okay, cool. Well, guys, look, that's our full slate of NFL picks there. Real quick, Will, if you had to pick your top 3 for the week, give everybody your top 3 bets, and then I'll give them my top 3 bets.
I like the Steelers +6.5. I'm not sold on the 49ers yet, and I like the initial prospects of Mason Rudolph and how he played last week, and I think they'll get a boost of confidence with this week against the 49ers in San Francisco. So the Steelers +6.5. I love the Jets +21.5. And then I love the Nets. They're playing against the Patriots. I just think that the Patriots are going to take it a little easy this week and just try to get out of the game healthy. And I love the way the Jets have been playing. It's a divisional matchup. Both teams know each other. And so I'll take the Jets +21.5. And then also as well, I love the Miami Dolphins. And this is actually it turned into a bet that I love after discussing it with you. Yeah. I love the Miami Dolphins over 12 points for their team total.
Ooh, look. Those are going to be nice, man. All right, so for me, my top 3 picks, Houston as a 3.5-point underdog, +3.5 in LA against the Chargers. I think Watson, Hopkins, and that offense goes out to LA and wins a close game, but I think they cover it out there in LA. Also for me, Seattle sitting right now at -4. I think they take on Teddy Bridgewater and the Saints. I think Russell Wilson, his home record speaks for itself, 45-12 versus Teddy Bridgewater, who's 8-9 on the road. I think Seattle covers that pretty easily. And then my last one of the week, Tampa Bay -6 hosting the Giants. I think they cover that pretty easily and win the game there. So, Will, hey, hold up. You hear that music, man?
I hear it.
Uh-oh, man.
Real quick. I know this is a pro podcast, but I got to say this. I'm so happy to see Michigan down 21-0 in the second quarter to Wisconsin.
You took the words out my mouth.
You lost our money the last couple weeks, and I'm glad you losing right now. I am glad.
Out there getting spanked 21-0. I see it too, man. So, hey, when that music drops though, Will, you know what time it is, man. Go and take us home, man, so we get these people up out of here.
Let's get this money this week, and remember, if you see a bet, make a bet.
That's a bet. Hey, that's a bet, man. For Lockett 2 T's, he's Will Jetson, man. We'll see you guys next week, all right? Peace.